it's Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium, and welcome to my channel. I especially want to give a warm welcome to anyone who is new. Of course, my returning family, fabulous family members are always greatly appreciated, but I see those numbers climbing, and again, very much appreciated for all the love and support. Today is part 2 of Not Your Average album, and we made this album using file folders, which completely was a new experience. I must say, if there's any question that you have about the durability, please let those wash away, because this is quite strong. We have lots of cardstock on the delineated paper on both sides. It is really going to be strong and durable. Any worries that you might have of the extra score marks, because the folders obviously comes and it's folded, don't worry about it, because I can honestly tell you that those really disappear. I was a little bit skeptical, just a little bit, and so really pleasantly surprised at how this turned out. There was a few not issues, challenges is how I will put that, along the way, but I'll go through those. And so basically right now I'm going to go through, I will give you the measurements for all the layers. I just didn't want to spend all that extra time and make it a super long video again, where you're having to watch me put things together. So I will give you all the measurements. They will all be in the description below, so fear not, but they'll pop on the screen as well. So let's get to it. So this is the mini album, like I said, using the file folders, and I used the Graphic 45 paper, Come One Come All, which was a super fun paper to work with. I really, really enjoyed this. It's got to be one of my favorites, but I feel like I say that all the time. Let It Be might be my favorite. I don't know. Anyhow, this is my favorite today. And what I did for the front cover is I fussy cut some of the elements from the title page. So this is the title page, and hopefully that's all in screen. Let me get up and make sure. Okay, mostly. So obviously I fussy cut her, and my intention originally was to also do the horse as well, but that would have taken up a lot of the front cover, and I wanted some space. So anyway, so I fussy cut just this pretty lady, and then I also fussy cut the flowers down here and up here. Fussy cut the Come One Come All, and as well as these tickets. So the reason why the tickets are kind of spread the way they are is because I obviously had to cut into this whilst fussy cutting her. So this one wasn't a full ticket, which is why it's off to the side. And when I was kind of cutting the floral, I just kind of went across and not thinking ahead that I wanted to use that one. So anyway, so that's what happened there. The back side is the stripe that I also used for the base. And so the base, we'll get into that right now, is I had these written down initially, but I changed my mind so many times while putting it together that I feel like measuring it and giving you the proper measurements is best. So this one is 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. And so she and the flowers right here are on foam tape, which is not something I normally do on a cover, but I really wanted to have some dimension and a little bit more than just using some chipboard. The same thing with the Come One Come All is also on some foam tape. So, and then we go to the spine. So there is one page that is nothing but cut-aparts. Well, cut-aparts. Little strips and things like that. I'm looking for that sheet right now. Let's see if I can find it. No, I definitely can't find it with one hand. That is for sure. So I will find it with two. Lots of great banners. I don't know if this is what you would call a banner, but yeah, I guess. So there's some tickets that I fussy cut out. I'll use parts of the, the big top kind of paper or strip, the Admit One. So lots of very, very cool things going on here. So I used, to go back to here, I cut one of the little pieces. It just barely made it, as well as one of the tickets. And this piece is 1 3/4 by 6 1/4. And then we have our back page, which used the two other tickets. And then I had this big floral that I was going to originally use on the front, but decided that it would have taken up way too much real estate and put it on the back. And so those two are fussy cut. This page is the exact same. This stripe is cut the exact same, 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 as we did on the front. You could obviously cut it larger if you wanted, because the size of the square, so not including the tab, and I did decide to do all the tabs separately, just simply from a efficiency perspective. It was actually a lot more efficient to cut them separate, and I feel like I can use different paper, so it worked out in the end, in my opinion. If you want to work with, cutting that out, there is a lot more, there's a lot more challenged there. So, where was I going? Oh yeah, with the striped paper, sorry. You can, because the square would be 6 1/2 by 6 1/2. So if you wanted to extend that, you could always cut it at 6 3/8 by 6 3/8. And that would allow, or just offer you a teensy tiny little border, kind of similar to what we have here. So all of that, was done, like I said, with the title page. So I needed 2 sheets because these squares are larger than 6, which means that unfortunately you've got to use the 2 sheets. So that is what I've come up with for our title page. I will get to the tab in just a second. So when you open it, we have lots of fun stuff going on. So we have our pocket, right, that we built. And so for the pocket area, that was cut at 2 1/8 by 6 3/8. And so I kind of changed it a little bit and went to just about everything here has a 1/8 border. So that was done. Now, obviously we had to cut a little area here to kind of mirror the shape of the file folder. And how you do that, just to make sure everybody is kind of aware, I should have had this out, but I didn't. I'm going to grab a spare scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to grab one of the edges. It's just a little piece that we have cut, but it'll show you the same exact thing. So what I did basically is I cut my rectangle, okay, and then I placed this on top in order to trace and then cut with either your little scissors or a craft knife. And because you've got the paper here is right up to the corner, when you pull it away, it mirrors that exactly. So it does work very well. The reason why it doesn't work with the tabs is if I were to trace this and just simply pull it down, the angles just don't work. So hopefully that is making some sense. So you're pushing that right up to the corner. Oops, you have to be able to trace it. So just like that. And then let me just show you really quickly. So if I have that pushed up to the corner, you can kind of see that it's a little bit dark there because I've gone over it with my pencil. Now, I'm kind of rushing this a little bit. So normally I would go over it 2-3 times just to make sure that I have the proper, you know, I'm cutting it properly. I can't find, oh, there, my little scissors. So I could have done a better job here. But that's what it looks like. So that way, when you pull it down to do your, you know, your border, you've got a nice little fancy corner that mirrors what the file folder is doing. So that worked out really nicely right here. And then to do this tab right here is I cut a piece of the same decorative cardstock. So this piece was cut at 2 7/16 and it's by 3/8. So that would be like that. So 2 7/16 by 3/8. And then I just used my 1/4 inch rounder. So one thing that I would also recommend that if you're cutting these, if you have the option not to cut it at 3/8 of an inch, excuse me, 3/8 of an inch wide, that would be great. Because one thing that these little chompers is you need something wider than 3/8 of an inch. And that is because it won't catch on this side or on this side. So let's see, I'll show you with this. So even like this, with this one, you have it catching just barely on the left-hand side. But if I chose the 3/8 one, it's too thin and it will slide right down. So my way around it was if I had my 3/8 already cut, and in a lot of cases I already did, I took a little Post-it note. This was just like really inexpensive Post-it notes from Dollar Tree or whatever your local dollar store is. Pretty sure they have some. So I put it right at the corner, right? And then if I'm wanting to do my corner, my 1/4 of an inch, that allows it to stop, right? So it's not it's maybe not the best way, but it is one way that if you have all your 3/8 of an inch pieces cut for all of your tabs, it is still possible. So there we have a perfectly rounded edge that will fit really nicely. Well, I'm gonna have to flip it over. Fit really nicely into there. So this isn't exactly 3/4 of an inch, but that gives you an idea of what it is that we achieved there. So that's what that size is. And then we'll pull this out. I'm just going to set that aside for a second because this back piece now, I cut that one at, I want to say 5 inches, just so that it would slip underneath. And so that's 5 inches by 6 3/8. Okay, for that one. We have our little mini folder. So I chose the same papers. So with the mini folder, you are going to need 5 3/8 by 5 3/8 by 6 1/8. So 5 3/8 by 6 1/8 times 2, because you're going to do the front and then you're going to do the inside. So those are the exact same sizes. Then for the back piece I believe is the same. Yeah, it must be. Must be because, yeah. So 5 3/8 by, 5 3/8 by 6 1/8. Yeah, that is identical. And then again, we're going to have, so we're going to need, sorry, a total of 4 that are 5 3/8 by 6 1/8. And then we have our little tab. So for this tab, I do believe I had cut that at 5, at 3 3/4. No, sorry. I cut that at 3 5/8. 3 5/8. And then ultimately it's going to be a 3/8 of an inch wide. And then we did the same thing. We used the quarter rounder for each edge. And I cut 2 of those. So one for the front, one for the back. And all of these full tabs, either it's a top tab or bottom tab, are all going to be the same. They're all going to be 3 5/8 inches long to cover most of the tab, and then all 3/8 inch wide. So that's the front cover. This strip is 3/8 of an inch wide by 6 5/8, I believe. 6 3/8. Sorry, it couldn't be 5/8 because then it would be larger than 6 1/2. Oh boy. Okay, so that's fine. And for these strips, you're going to need a total of 4. So I used the floral design, which was part of that banner page. And then I used the polka dots for the 2 middle ones, and then the floral for the back. So then we get into our signatures, and for our signatures on this page, we are going to cut 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. You're going to need 3 pages that are 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. And we do the same thing here. So in order to cut this little notch out of your paper, if you're using a envelope punch board, which I would imagine, I think that's one of the only few tools that does cut this, you're going to line it up between the 3 1/8 and the 3, because half of 1/8 is 1/16. So you're kind of right in between there. Punch it and you'll have this beautiful mirrored image. Mirrored image? I'm sure that's not it, but anyhow. So that's what we need for the 3 signatures. I did them all the same. And then we have our little mini folder that goes in. So the one thing that kind of got a little bit carried away when I was doing all my designing is I had meant to put a magnet here and behind and on this flap. So this way it would stay closed and there would be no muss, no fuss. It wouldn't really flap open. It's not a huge deal. It's just, something that I was trying to remember to do, and I totally forgot. Not all is lost. I can still use maybe some, I have some of those clear Velcro dots, so that would work equally as well, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. So with our folders, we are going to need some pieces here as well, or our inserts rather. So you're going to need 3 pieces that measure 4 7/8 by 5 7/8. Okay, so we are going to need, what did I say? You're going to need more than 3 pieces. You're going to need actually 6 of them. You're going to need 1 for the front and 1 for the inside cover for each one. So that's going to be 6. And then for the inside pieces, the larger ones are going to be 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And again, you're going to need 2 for each of the inserts. So that's going to be a total of 6. And then for the tabs, we are doing the same exact size. So even though that's a bottom tab, the tabs are identical. If I flip that over, you'll see that if I line that up, that lines up perfectly. The only tab that is different is the middle tab. For some reason, they decided to make that one a large tab. So it's larger than these ones, the top or the bottom. So that is what you're going to need for those. So for the tabs, obviously, you're going to need to have 6 of those cut as well. And just as a reminder, that's 3 5/8 by 3/8 of an inch. And then we get into the back side of the page, which has 2 parts. I also use some of the cutouts with my, with these regular black tags. There's actually 9 tags, and then you also get this little cute ring. So if you wanted to do other things with that, you could totally do that. So for the bottom piece, we are looking at, of course I can't, give me 1 second, 6 1/8 by 2 3/8. Yeah, 2 3/8. So you'll need 3 of those. You notch it the exact same way as you did for the side pockets, or the side, yeah, I guess the side pocket. And then this piece is 6 1/8. And then just to make sure all of it was covered, I cut them at 4 1/2. Okay. And you're going to need 3 of each of those to get all of your pages done. And if you don't happen to have the die that goes with that, so that's this one, there's a die that is sold. Unfortunately, I just had that one in my stash. So I cuts and leaves a nice little border. I did another complimentary page or design on the back. If for whatever reason you don't have that die, you can absolutely cut it. It wouldn't include this top little part, but that would look equally as cute. You could decorate that with some ribbon, of course. And so this is it is 3 5/8. And that would be by 4 7/8. And then you just round off the corners with your little corner rounder. Okay, so I put there, and there's plenty of room for more tags if you so desire. And then again, we have our little strip here. So for our middle tab, right, this guy, that measured, I want to say it was 3. I thought I had that. Oh, I did. 3 7/8. So this is 3 7/8. You're going to round the 2 corners, and then it's cut this way. This is 3/8 of an inch. And then again, all of your designer paper for your inserts are the exact same. I just did that with another one of the 4x6 cut aparts. Another strip, same exact pattern with another one of the cut aparts. And then our back pocket. Our back pocket is cut a little bit differently because I used this piece. If you decided to notch it, then you would follow the same exact rules. If you decided to use one of the center tab negative pieces, then these are the pieces you are going to need. So for this top, piece, you're going to cut that. I cut that at 2 inches. Oh, whoops. I didn't give you the width first. Let me give you the width first. 6 1/8 by 2 inches. And that way it's fully covered and is not peeking. There's no file folder peeking out. And then for the top piece, I cut this at 6 1/8 by, let me spin this around so that I can give you a better, so 6 1/8 by 5 1/8. And then I really was fiddling around with these 2 little pieces on either end. So these 2 pieces are, you're really going to have to measure these because one was just a fraction, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, shorter than the other one. So I basically measured, so that one, this one on the left-hand side was 1 1/8. And where I measure to, if I can put this in behind so that you can see. So I'm measuring from where I wanted it to start, which was in line with the designer paper here and here. And I basically measured to where it goes straight. So right about there. So the worst case scenario is if you cut it a little bit long, you could always trim it off of this side and you're fine. So this side was 1 1/8. This side was, I think that was 1 inch. Yeah, it's just like a hair, a whisper over 1 inch on this side. And again, it's 3/8 of an inch tall, and you're good to go there. And then we have our insert. So the insert here, our top page, I feel like this is going to be the same as their other pages. It's 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. So for this one, you're going to need 2, one for the top, one for the front, one for the inside. And then for the bottom or the larger piece, it's 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 for this piece. And you're going to need 2, one for the inside, one for the outside. And then we've already gone over that piece, which is, I already had it written down here, 3 7/8, right? With the quarter inch rounded on either end, by 3/8 of an inch. And that fits nicely in there for more pictures, more of whatever you would like. And then the tab here is going to be the same as previous ones, which was 3 5/8 rounded and 3/8 of an inch. And you're going to need 2 of those, one for the inside, one for the outside. So I think the only thing that I didn't mention was this little strip here is on that banner page. You could easily decorate each one of these with something really cute. I have them all cut up. I just haven't really figured out if I'm going to put anything there. I may decide later. Sometimes I need to, let it marinate for a bit. So if you decide to use one of those for the pocket here, all you need to do is measure. So this one is 6 3/8 long, and I just went with, obviously, however wide it is. So just as a cute little accent. So that is it for our Come One, Come All, Not Your Average album using file folders, which I never thought I would do, but was so super fun. I do have another project in the works. It's a card using some of our leftover file folders. I think I might have a problem now. But now that I have all these cut up pieces of file folder, I need to figure out what to do with them. So look for more projects, but this one right now is done, and hopefully you have enjoyed it. Hopefully you found some inspiration in what I've created. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I look and read at every single one, and I do try my best to get back to you in a very timely fashion if you have any questions. If you haven't already subscribed, I really would appreciate you clicking that button at the bottom right-hand corner. That would be great. And if you hit the bell, you'll get notified every single time we post a new video, which we try to do about once a week. So that is it for part 2. Hopefully you have a fabulous day and you stay safe and well. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.